I dressed up today because what I'm about to teach you is the single most important thing I'm ever going to teach you about investing. What I'm about to teach you is actually going to save you tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars over the rest of your life, and that is not a hyperbole. And if you do like this video, please share it because it's very important information for every Canadian to understand. Now, before I did this video, I taught you about stocks and bonds and mutual funds and the market so that you could understand what I'm about to tell you. Now, when I was doing my 4-day course that was going to allow me to sell mutual funds to everybody, I started learning things I didn't know, and I went and talked to my friend a lot who has the following credentials. So he basically knows more about money than anybody I've ever met. He could actually manage a mutual fund if he really wanted to, but instead he runs a really successful practice downtown dealing with wealthy people. And I said to him, I said, how come people don't just invest in the index? Why don't they just track the index? And all he said to me was, exactly. That's exactly the only thing that you need to know. And what you need to know about the mutual fund that you're buying is that the manager that's managing it probably doesn't even own it himself. Do you understand that? He's not investing his own money into that fund, unless maybe he has to. So what you really need to understand about every single mutual fund is that every single one is trying to beat a specific index or group of indexes. So I thought to myself, what's the easiest comparison I can make? I can just take 6 big mutual funds from companies that everybody knows that are Canadian equity funds and compare them to the Toronto Stock Exchange, the TSX, and just see what happens, because we can all understand that every single one of those funds is trying to beat that index. So let's just look and see what happened. And the other thing you need to know before I really get started is the only time you're ever going to find any evidence contrary to what I'm about to show you is when the financial institution is the one that actually put the study together. This isn't me just making stuff up. And I didn't do things multiple times to make this look fancy. I just thought, what's the easiest way for you guys to understand this? And so let's look at some numbers now. So as you can see here, the Toronto Stock Exchange had a 10-year return of 4.67%. Now we've got the RBC fund, and it has a fee of 2.06%, had a 10-year return of 3.1%, which is a difference of negative 1.57. So that's down a bit. Now we've got TD, 2.18% fee, 10-year return of 3.07, down by 1.6%. Now we've got Investors Group, had a fee of 2.58%, a poor 10-year return of 0.59%, which was down by a little over 4%. Now we've got the BMO fund at a fee of 2.39% and a 10-year return of 3.91%. So that was up pretty good, not too bad of a return, still a difference of minus 0.76%. You get what I'm getting at? Now let's just look at the average. Let's go to the average. Let's say the average fee of all these 6 funds was 2.3%, and their average return was 2.45%, which means that they lost to the index by 2.22%, which is almost exactly the same as the average fee, which is not a coincidence. That's just kind of what happens. People can't generally beat the index because of that embedded fee. So now let's go to the bottom And let's look at a robo-advisor who's using a very inexpensive ETF, the iShares Capped Composite TSX Index ETF, and then include their fee on top of that. So you would have had a 10-year return of 4.02%, which is down by 0.65%. Now if you invested in this ETF yourself, then you would have done much better, but it is my opinion that you should have a money manager of some sort unless you're a true do-it-yourselfer, because you shouldn't just own the Canadian index. Now let's look and see what would have happened. What's the difference over those 10 years in actual monetary value? So for this, I'm not going to go into every number, but you can just look where your sort of net worth or investments would lie, and I'm going to talk about people with $100,000. Now you can see their average bank or financial institution fee over 10 years was just over $26,000. Now if you take my fee plus the robo-advisor fee over 10 years, that total fee would have been just over $10,000, which is a savings of almost $16,000. Now you have an average portfolio increase of just over $20,000 by doing this, minus our fee, which would have been $4,100 over 10 years, and you have an increased net worth of $16,200, or a 12.66% net worth increase. Now that means, what I'm saying is that I've given this part of my strategy away to you guys. So I need to earn that fee from you by providing you with advice outside of this. Otherwise you can stop paying me and your net worth will increase more than I just showed you. And I believe that people do need financial planners to help them along the way. I want you to think about this really quick. On average, index tracking funds beat other investors 80% of the time. So if I showed you a roulette wheel that had the same payout with 80% black numbers and 20% red numbers, could somebody sell you on the idea of investing in red or betting your money on red? Why would you do that? And I don't want you to blame your advisor for this at all. Had I been able to do this at the old institution I was at, or had I been able to go to any other institution and give my clients this advice, I would have. But that just isn't available, so I had to create it on my own. So that's what I did. Now I hope you understand this, because it will save you money, it will improve your investment returns most likely, and investing is not difficult. All you have to do is avoid the noise and be patient and diversify your portfolio at a low cost, and you will beat almost every single person you know. And that's it. Thank you.